The retraction of two 1940s papers by Max Planck was not a scientific correction, it was a strategic purge. In the arena of great power competition, historical truth is no longer an objective fact to be discovered. It has become a weaponized asset deployed to secure regime legitimacy and win wars before they begin on the battlefield. When states control the narrative of history, they do not just rewrite textbooks. They erase inconvenient facts that threaten their current geopolitical standing. This incident is not about academic integrity or editorial errors. It reveals how nations like Russia and China are turning scientific journals into front lines where truth is subordinate to raw power. To understand why this matters, we must look beyond the specific papers and examine the mechanism of modern narrative control. In contemporary warfare, battlefield success does not guarantee narrative victory. A state can lose a military engagement yet still claim total dominance if it controls how that event is remembered and understood by its population and allies. Consider a hypothetical scenario from 2026 involving conflict between Iranian forces and U.S. or Israeli troops. Even in the face of actual military setbacks, state media successfully weaponized historical distortion through AI-generated deepfakes to fabricate high-casualty figures. In one specific information offensive designed to fuel domestic skepticism, outlets claimed over 650 United States soldiers were killed or wounded. These numbers were entirely fabricated, yet they served a strategic purpose, exploiting pre-existing public doubt to create an environment where facts are contestable and trust is eroded. The goal was not necessarily to convince the world of these lies as absolute truth, but to make the actual reality look like just another lie in a sea of confusion. This strategy relies on what analysts call the tragedy of commons in truth. State actors actively manipulate global perceptions regarding peace negotiations by flooding information ecosystems with disinformation disguised as truthiness rather than obvious falsehoods. This approach proved effective during recent geopolitical flashpoints, such as the November 2024 Romanian presidential election. There, a suspected bot farm artificially inflated support for pro-Russia candidates on social media platforms like TikTok. The result was not just noise, it was an attempt to manufacture consensus and alter political outcomes without firing a single kinetic shot. By demonstrating how digital tools can shape national trajectories, these operations show that the retraction of historical records is part of a broader campaign where information infrastructure becomes critical national security assets to be secured against adversarial narratives. Quick resource note: I keep a curated set of Amazon search links in the description for books, gear, and tools relevant to this channel's topics. Some are affiliate links, so I may earn a commission at no extra cost to you. Please consider supporting the channel by using those links if you find something useful. The specific case of Planck serves as an archetype for this behavior. When historical records contradict a state's current strategic narrative or legitimacy claims, they are removed from circulation with surgical precision. This mirrors the treatment of scientific journals not as independent repositories of knowledge, but as terrain where power struggles play out. The logic is simple and cold. If a fact threatens the regime's ability to project strength today, that fact must disappear. It explains why truth becomes fluid in geopolitics. It is treated as a tool for survival and dominance rather than an absolute standard. Understanding this allows you to see why certain facts vanish from public view. They are not lost by accident or removed due to moral panic over outdated ideas. They are excised because they undermine the foundational myths required for modern statecraft to function in a competitive environment. This dynamic highlights a critical gap in Western defense posture. While adversaries revive Cold War tactics and integrate artificial intelligence-driven open-source intelligence into their strategies, the United States maintains a fragmented response. The fiscal year 2024 budget lacks integrated planning across state and energy departments, creating a disconnect where military spending is treated as isolated shopping lists rather than part of a cohesive whole-of-government strategy to counter information warfare. This structural weakness leaves the nation vulnerable when adversaries treat every academic citation or historical record as a potential vulnerability in their own security perimeter. The U.S. defense budget as a percentage of GDP is currently lower than at any point during the Cold War, leaving the industrial base and strategic planning unready for protracted conflicts alongside an information war that demands equal resources. The stakes extend far beyond abstract debates about history or science. Disinformation spreads most effectively when it hides in plain sight behind a veneer of truthiness rather than obvious falsehoods. The consequences are measurable and kinetic, as seen during the early stages of the global pandemic. Over 6,000 people were hospitalized in early 2020 due to COVID-19 misinformation, suggesting cures like drinking bleach or cocaine. Around 800 deaths occurred globally in the first 3 months of that year, directly linked to dangerous medical misinformation. Brown University estimated that nearly one-third, approximately 33%, of the United States' million pandemic deaths could have been prevented if vaccination rates were higher due to disinformation efforts. False rumors claiming vaccines caused fertility problems, altered DNA, or contained tracking microchips created a barrier between populations and life-saving science that cost lives in real time. This proves that false narratives are not just rhetorical weapons. They are kinetic threats with tangible human costs. When states weaponize the historical record, as seen in the Planck Retraction, they are engaging in the same logic, removing obstacles to their strategic objectives regardless of the collateral damage to truth or institutional trust. The West's failure to treat information infrastructure and scientific archives with the same urgency as physical borders allows adversaries to operate with impunity. They know that if a fact threatens their narrative, it will be deleted without question from within their own controlled spheres, while Western institutions struggle to respond to such erasure in real time. The retraction of Planck's papers was not an error correction, it was a signal. It signals that history is now a contested resource in great power competition, and that the scientific record is just another terrain where these struggles play out. For curious viewers, this changes how every news headline about censorship or retractions must be read. Do not assume bureaucratic mistakes or moral panics are driving these events. View them as calculated moves in a war of ideas where the objective is legitimacy through control. By recognizing that states scrub history to secure their geopolitical position today, you gain clarity on why truth becomes fluid and how power operates beneath the surface of academic discourse. The battle for memory is the prelude to the battle for dominance, and understanding this dynamic is essential for navigating a world where facts are no longer neutral, but are instead instruments of statecraft. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I am a one-person team working hard to make each video better than the last. Subscribe if you found value. It is the best way to show support. Drop a comment with your biggest takeaway. See you in the next video.